We've been waiting longer than the blockade of France for a really decent model of the frigate Surprise, made famous in the Patrick O'Brien books, but actually a real ship. In today's first impressions video, we're going to have a look at this soon to be released kit from Vanguard Models and see if the wait is truly over. The following video is of a product that has been given to me for the purposes of review. This is not an advert and it is not a promotion. It is my genuine view of the product as I have agreed with the manufacturer or supplier of the product, that I be free to share my view, whether it be good or bad. Hello, welcome back to Model Kit Stuff. My name is Jason if you're new to the channel, and today I've got a first impressions video for you. We're going to be looking at the soon to be released Vanguard Models Surprise. This is the ship that's famous from the Hollywood movie Master and Commander, but we can build this kit in one of two ways. We're going to take you through all of that, as well as deep dive through the instructions, the parts, the plans, and finally give you my view of the kit. Let's start where we usually start, with the first impressions, and if you are new to my first impressions, I do warn you that we go into a lot of detail, so if there's sections of the video that are not of interest to you, that's fine. Just fast forward to the bits that you are interested in. Other people may well be interested in everything I've got to say, so that's why we do it in depth. And we're going to start with packaging. Now, first thing I'm going to say is that this kit, as it's presented to you now, is not in its final format. The instruction manual still is not quite finished, and so some of the artwork on here is likely to change. It's unlikely that you won't have a picture of the fully mastered and rigged ship. Which at this moment in time, those images aren't quite ready for the instruction manual either. So whilst everything you're going to see here is the same as what you'll get in the production kit when it's released, I've got a version before it's quite ready, but the instructions are the only thing that are going to be a little bit incomplete, and I'll take you through what that is as we get there. In terms of when this kit is coming out, stay tuned. At the back end of the video we will talk a little bit about that when we round up. Okay, so for the uninitiated who maybe have only come across the ship as HMS Surprise in the Master and Commander films, let's just talk very briefly about the ship that the model is based on. Actually, the model is based on two ships. The real one, which is a French ship called La Unite, or the fictional one, which was made famous in the series of books that then became the film. So right from the off, I can tell you that this kit has been designed so you can build either or. I must at this point also be clear to you that this ship will look different to the one that you see in the movie. The one that you see in the movie is actually shorter than this one, has less guns than this one, and has one or two other things that are inconsistent with an actual frigate of the time. This model has been designed to the actual plans drawn up by the Navy Board after the Royal Navy had captured La Unite and renamed it the Surprise 2 years after she'd been originally launched. What it says here is Surprise 1796. That's the year of her capture. She was actually launched in 1794. Typically what would happen when the Royal Navy caught French ships, and they did it fairly regularly, is that they would be drawn by the Navy Board, so they had a set of technical drawings, and they would then possibly replace the spars and possibly replace the masts and certainly re-rigger. Quite often they would change gunnery as well, change the armaments and bits and pieces like that. So the original ship that was French and then captured and then put into service with the Royal Navy, she was armed with carronades, not as the fictional one in the movie with long guns. So you can see here the images of the movie version, for want of a better description. We'll talk about that in a sec. So it will look a little bit different to the movie because it's based on the original ship, and you can build it as she originally was, or you can build it as the fictional version, and that is an option at checkout when you purchase the kit. So as a standard, the kit comes with everything you need to build the fictional version, plus it comes with 2 figureheads, the original and the fictional, and 2 stern galleries, the original and the slightly more shaped fictional one. The fictional version of this model is based on the books rather than the film, and that allows us to have something that is much more in keeping than with what was imagined by the author, rather than what the Hollywood movie was limited to when they bought a recreation ship, which was actually HMS Rose. So this model will give you those options, but some of these options will be at checkout. As standard, I think the kit comes with everything you need to build both, other than the choice of guns. And also there will be a choice of blocks. There will be standard blocks for rigging in here, or you can indeed choose to purchase an upgraded, nicer set of blocks. Why do Vanguard do this? They do it because not everyone is going to build the model with masts. A lot of people will build it just as you see it here, without all the masts and without all the rigging, and so charging extra for blocks that a good number of modelers will never use doesn't make any sense. So it keeps the cost down for everyone. Right, so that's a very brief introduction into what we're going to be looking at. So let's get started and think about the packaging. Packaging is increasingly important these days because most people get their kits delivered to them through the post, and many people will have something of this nature either in a stash for a little while before they start it, or be building it over an extended period. And so how it's packaged is really important. As you can see, this comes with a really sturdy corrugated box. It's top opening. It stores everything in, and then it's packed with packing materials to make sure nothing moved and that everything is safe. There's a lot of taping parts together, and I will show you that as we get to the various parts. But the packaging for me is first class. It's very, very good. This also comes in a double corrugated shipper if you order it direct from Vanguard Models at least. So you've got plenty of protection there. It's not going to get damaged in shipping. This particular kit is not quite as heavy as the Indefatigable that we reviewed a year or more ago, but it's still a decent sized box, but it's easy enough to lug about and put wherever you're going to keep it. So no issues with that. Right, time to move on to the instructions. I've got a digital set of instructions, but I did want to show you how they typically look. So a Vanguard instruction manual will typically be a landscape, full colour, ring bound build manual, which allows you to minimise the space on your desk because you only need to have one page available at a time. They are double-sided print, but they are also really robust, thick pages, so they're fairly damage resistant, and I've never had any issues. They're nice to work with. But also a little tip from me, if you are going to buy this, usually There is a digital set of the instruction manuals that you can download for free at checkout, and that allows you to zoom into some of the images and stuff on a computer whilst you're building. It's really, really handy. So the instruction manual is just too large for me to do my usual page by page review. So what I've done is I've picked out key pages which show how the model comes together and gives you an understanding of what it looks like at each stages. So you can pause the video at any one of the instruction pages that I've put in and have a closer look. As always, the instructions start with a bit of history. You can see here that you will actually be able to see down 4 decks in depth. This page really nicely shows the complexity of the framework as it's getting built up. Because most of this outer hull is not planked but is installed with templates, this framework is necessary to give support and strength around things like the gun port openings. This gives you a really good view of the detail of the panelling of the interior parts, the big room at the back and the officers and captain's quarters and so on and so forth, with the lovely flooring and what it looks like painted up. One of the interesting things you can see here is how the guns are going to get constructed. The carriages are made up and installed, and then the actual barrel of the gun is passed through the gun port from the outside after all the hull has been done and painted. So here we can see the original surprise stern gallery being test fitted. The real difference between the two stern galleries supplied is the angles of the windows. So it's nice to see some detail in the quarter galleries here. Not often the case, very unusual that you get detail in this area. But we've got a door detail, and of course we have the captain's latrine. And then finally we have some pictures of the completed hull and all the deck fittings in place prior to installation of the masts. And that's where the instructions that I have currently finished. So we'll be looking at the masts through the plans. So the model comes with plan sheets. totally normal for a wooden model kit. Unlike most kits or legacy kits, however you want to frame it, many of these will actually not be necessary, but they are included for cross-reference. Some of these drawings have certainly been created to aid the build of the prototype that's used for the instructions. But once you've got an instruction manual, a lot of it is covered off, and so the plans aren't necessary for actual building, which is quite unusual. Usually everything in the plans is needed. That changes a little bit towards the end as you get to masts, where you need measurements. Masts, yards, booms, all of that sort of stuff will need measurements, and also your rigging plans, which won't be in the instructions so much. Now, in this case, rather than showing you all the plans, I'm going to give you a feel for them, because we don't have the instructions yet for the masts and the rigging. I'm going to show you those plans, which will give you an understanding of how they work, how clear they are, and how well presented the general plans are. Now we're on plan sheet 10, which is foremast assembly. So everything on here is for the foremast. So you can see we've got detail information there on blocks and what they are to identify them. We've got very clear instructions on diameters and depths and all of that sort of stuff. We've got talk about the iron hoops. So you can see we've got iron hoops there, and it tells us about them. So everything is identified. It gives you the technique for doing the walding, which is the wrap here around the masts there. And this is an interesting feature. You'll see we've got black and red. You have the option when you come to rig the ship to do a reduced version of the rigging, which is effectively just the standing rigging, or you can do the full standing and running rigging, which is by far much more complicated. So you can do the full rigging, or you can do a reduced one if you wish. So the red ones are options to allow you to do the full rigging. The black ones are sort of the essential ones to give the ship a look. Both of them are accurate. It's just how much rigging do you want to do. So anything you see in red is an option, or effectively running rigging. Okay, I mean, these look really nice. There's little bits of commentary talking you through bits. These are very, very clear. You've got part number references everywhere. They're just very, very nice. And there is a little note I've just spotted here that tells you about the options. Then we've got the mainmast assembly, same basic layout and information quality. They even repeat things that they've already shown you. They put them on every plan. So when you're working off a plan, it's all to hand. I really like that. We've got the block and dead eye list, and then we've got the rigging threads all laid out there. It's all very clear. You've got really nice line drawings of the tops. Really nicely done. Very clear information. When they want you to do something, they're telling you very clearly. So yeah, and once again we have lots of red options. Now we have the mizzen mast, as we'd expect, a little bit less complicated, just down to the size of the mast, but it's all basically the same. You've even got tips on how to do the tapering of the masts. Plan sheet 13, bowsprit assembly, lower stunsail booms and quarter davit tackle. So we've got the bowsprit information at the top, all nicely laid out, easy to do measurements if you wish. It's all very clear, no fuzzy printing, more options there. and then we can see nicely laid out with the stunsel there and how to do that, and then a really nice drawing, I mean, of the davits and the rig and everything. I mean, that looks really nice, doesn't it? That looks fun. Sheet 14 for main yard assemblies, very nicely laid out, I have to say. Again, with very clear optional blocks. Little close-ups there of rigging in the different angles, positions and so on. Little notes on making the foot stroops there. There's a little note here for making the foot ropes. Yeah, and every sheet keeps these to hand so that you can keep them in reference. So when you're working from a sheet, you don't have to keep flicking back to the first one where they reference these. So yeah, very nicely done. And it's not too busy, so you're not sort of digging around trying to find things because they've squeezed it in wherever they can. There's logic and sense to it, and I love that. Now we've got the mizzen yard assemblies and the optional lower yard tackle. I'll show you that in a minute because there's hours of fun to be had with that. So we've got all these little images here. They're all nicely laid out. You know, we've seen all this before. We've got some information here that tells us about tying knots to simulate the foot ropes, which is a nice touch. And giving you instructions for chamfering, and then you've got belaying pin locations, and then this is all optional. Look at that. Hours of fun to be had there. Plan 16, shrouds, rat lines and stays. Again, very well laid out and gives you a really nice impression of those masts in situ, and of course the positions of the shrouds. I'm often asked about the dead eyes actually, and asked whether they should all be level, and the answer is yes, they are adjustable, but they're always adjusted level, so you wouldn't expect to see them not in line. So yeah, just thought we'd comment on that as we're there. We've got some nice images of the tackle, so it's all nice and clear, and you can see where those stays are all terminating. We've got separate blown up images where needed, so crow's feet detail there, which is very nice. And then you've got the order of fixing shrouds as well. So all very nicely done and laid out. Just lovely. Plan sheet 17, backstays, yard ties. Lots of imagery there. They've got you covered every way they can think of in terms of this. We have more optional lines here as well. But most of this is not optional. Most of this is essential. You're going to have to do it. What I really love about these though is that this clearly isn't a model for a beginner, but they do still include how to tie off belaying pins, how to belay cleats, how to actually make your coils of rope. You know, these are all things that you'd expect people to know and have already done by the time they get into the level where they can feel confident enough to tackle this model, but they still put it in anyway, and I think that's really, really good. Sheet 18, clue sheets and tackle. After saying that most of it you've got to do on the last plan, on this one, most of this plan sheet is optional. Plan sheet 19, yard braces and the optional sail rigging. So you can see all of those braces there. It looks busy, but when you're looking at just one line and you're focused in on it, it's very easy to differentiate what you're doing. And the line drawings are so clear that it's not going to cause you any problems at all. Yeah, and then we've got the optional sail rigging here. Very nice, clear plans. I have no criticism of these at all. So we're going to go through all the laser cut parts first, and I wanted to show you how these are packed. So they come bubble wrapped and taped down. I've just undone the tape because you don't want to see me undoing that on camera. And then you can see that everything is taped down to stop it moving in transit. Everything is stacked up and taped down, so it's really securely packed. When you get your kit, you do need to check that everything is okay, so you do need to unpack it, and part of that process for me is always to remove the tape. Now the tape that's used is fairly low tack, like pressure tape. It grips really well, but it also is very easy to remove. Just do it carefully and you should have no issues. You don't want to leave the tape on because the adhesive can sink into the wood and stain the wood if you're storing it over any length of time. So do get rid of the tape. It's a good solution for the manufacturer, but it's not something the modeler wants on his parts. Okay, kicking off our parts, we have this large sheet of 4mm MDF. This has got all of our bulkheads on, well, not all of them, but many of them. And some of the beams used in construction. Basically anything that's in MDF is a construction piece. It's not going to be seen as the end part of the model. It's all going to be hidden in the interior. We've also got our stand, which is going to be our building stand through much of the build. As always with Vanguard models, the laser cutting is really nice and precise and has gone through both sides really well. Because we've not got plywood, we've not got risk of splintering and that sort of stuff that you commonly see on plywood. So this is much better because you're much less likely to have parts breaking. And sometimes with plywood you get parts that part delaminate and snap while you're trying to take them out and all that sort of stuff, and the risk is much greatly reduced when it's MDF. So nicely done, and there's not a lot to say about this. One thing that is noticeable, and it's just on this one, we might see it more on another one, but you can just see, if I can get this into shot, there you go. There is a little edge there which is the mark for your pre-beveling. So you can pre-bevel some of these before you start construction. So these would actually gently push out if you, they're usually held in by no more than 2 or 3 tabs. I think I can see 1, 2, 3 tabs. 1, 2, 3 tabs. So yeah, three tabs, so it's very easy to remove these with a Stanley knife. So very nicely done. So continuing with the MDF, we've got 3mm MDF here. So this is the spine that all those bulkheads will stick to. You can see we've got 3, which is going to make the model exceedingly rigid. None of this one in the middle and all these bulkheads flapping about. So that's really nice. We've also got stern gallery formers, bow formers, and what have you in here. Again, all very nicely lasered, no issues with any of this whatsoever. And I will point out that each one of these little cutouts, we do actually have a little number which relates to the number that's also lasered on the bulkheads. So really easy to marry up. None of this cross-referencing and writing the numbers on yourself. It's all done for you. Lovely. Continuing with our 2mm MDF, we've got a lot of support parts here. So these are the parts that go joining all the ribs together along the side of the hull to keep it rigid, to keep them in position, lock everything into place. it looks really impressive as you saw in the instructions, but it's all functional. It's all there for a reason. So that's all of this here. We've got more formers for different parts. This again looks like stern gallery parts. There are things written on them like inner, middle, outer to help you position them in the right place. So yeah, they've made it as clear as they possibly can. More MDF, more 2mm MDF now. This includes all sorts of parts, some of which are sacrificial and used during the course of the construction to keep things rigid and then are removed. Others stay there and may get covered up by other items later on. So there's lots of different parts here. Largely, I'm finding that the parts seem to be roughly grouped together as to when they're being used, but I couldn't say that was 100% the case. But everything's nicely marked out and nicely spaced out. So, you know, you've not got issues with things breaking because they're too close together or anything like that. Our final sheet of MDF has the false decks in, which gives us a little bit of an idea, an inclination as to the size of the completed model. Again, really nice lasering. I just have no issues with any of this. Do be careful though, when you're taking these parts out. I always keep hold of the MDF until I finish the construction phase, because it can be good for making shims and bits and pieces like that. Having said that, I've never had to on a Vanguard kit yet. Other brands definitely. So yeah, as for the MDF, it's all very nicely done. Happy with that. I will take some little close-up shots so you can get a better view of some of the parts as we go, but these, all the MDF parts, are fairly straightforward structural parts, so I'm not going to spend the time on these so much. But yeah, very nicely done. You won't have any issues with any of this. So we're moving to lime now, and we've got the decks in lime, and as we can see, they've been laser engraved with all the deck planking, so you don't have to lay all the planking. Now if you want to, you can lay your own planking and do it differently, but I can guarantee you it won't end up having the accuracy or the great finish that this has. Now I'm going to show you this top one because I think it's very clever. You do have to be careful with these because they are very, very delicate. But you can see we've got these cutouts. This is the upper deck. And what they've done is they've cut these sections out so you'll be able to peer down into the ship in a sort of Admiralty style. So we can see where these have come out. But the lasering will leave a little hole. So if you do not want, or a little gap I should say, if you do not want this gap, that's where this part comes in. This part can be removed and put in there. It will be a tight fit and it will get rid of the laser cut gap. It's absolute genius. It means that you can have all of the gaps, some of the gaps, or none of the gaps as you see fit. I think it's really cleverly done. The cutouts have followed the line of the planking in the main, so that's really nicely done. Yeah, I think this is a really clever idea which gives you some nice options. We can also see that we've got markings on the bow for the cat heads here, so it's easy to position those things. We've got cutouts already done for anything that's going to go through the deck, and even for the position of the eye bolts. So all of your eye bolts, when you install them, they'll be in exactly the right position, not slightly off or not slightly out of line, because all of that hard work has been done for you. So this is absolutely gorgeous, but it's also very, 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 very delicate. So you can see that my little cutouts have already dropped out. So do be careful with it and look after these when you're handling them and just checking what you've got in the box. Right, we'll put that one, leave that one on the bottom, and we'll talk about this one now. So these are the internal decks that we put in. You can see they've not put the nailing on. It's just the run of planks. You could do that with a pencil or something if you wanted to add that effect. It's, you know, you're gonna see glimpses of this deck really. So it's probably not necessary, but it's possible if you wish to. The laser cutting is very nicely done. We've got positions marked for the parts that are going to be mounted on, so we'll have some gratings here. So yeah, I mean, no issues with any of that. It's really, really nice. Then finally we have this large limewood deck that's actually come away for me. This is the deck that's used in step 134 and is like your gun deck, and you can see how that's all nicely done. You've got things already cut out. Again, you've got positions of eye bolts and what have you, and markings for parts that are going to go on there, including you'll see positions for the bulkheads. So this bit will be covered up because the bowsprit's coming through here. So yeah, it's really nicely done, and as you can see, even though it had several contact points, it's just dropped out. So it is delicate and you do have to make sure you look after it, but it's also very easy to remove. There's very little risk of you damaging this when you come to take it out, or indeed when you're removing these blanks. So yeah, all in all, the decks, I really like them. So like I say, you could do your own, but it'd be very difficult to get all of this done anywhere near as neatly as it's done with the laser engraving. So personally, I'm fine with it. So we're now moving over to the pair. Now this is 0.8mm. These are the outer gun patterns, and there's a couple of things I want to point out to you about these. So firstly, the 0.8mm means that they are thin enough to be flexible, which makes it a lot easier for fitting. It's quite possible you'll still have to soak them anyway, but it will be easier for fitting. Because we're using patterns not just in the middle to form the place where the gun ports need to be cut, this is actually your outside view. You're not having to plank up on the outside of the hull at all, because this is done for you. This gives you a huge advantage because not only have you got all the tree nails in, so you don't have to do any of the tree nailing, which ultimately usually end up being oversized. They can look very nice, but ultimately they're often oversized. But it's also got the advantage that the positions of things are all marked out. So where the steps are marked out, everything's marked out that is going to get stuck on there. So once again, your positions are perfect. There's no inconsistencies or inaccuracies. It's all been done for you, which is brilliant. It also means you're not going to have issues with gaps between individual planks, then having to fill them and then having to sand them back, and you get little flats and bulges where it's not sanded properly and all of that sort of stuff. All of that is gone because of these. Now sure, it's a more expensive option than planking up, but from the point of view of the finished aesthetics and accuracy of the model, these are brilliant. They really, really are. We can see that we've got slots for parts to go in. We've got one big part there, and then we've got a smaller one, and then we've got some little strips at the bottom. And we've even got here some gun port lids, and again positions marked out for the hinges, so that's really nice. So lovely, lovely detail, and of course really nice lasering. There is a small amount of staining, it's inevitable. There's a small amount of staining along some of the edges. All you've got to do is a very, very, very low grit, dust over it, and you'll lift that off. That's only needed if indeed you're not intending to paint it and show it off to the wood, and because this is pear, it would look perfectly nice displayed in the wood as well. Continuing with the 0.8mm pear here, and what we've got is inner bulwark facing patterns now. So we can see we've got the plank detail on still, but then on this margin without the detail, that's where things are going to get covered up, either with margin planks or decks or beams or whatever it's going to be. These aren't going to get seen. You can also see here we've got the inside decoration for the cabin there, including the door for the quarter galleries. So all very nicely done. Some of this needs to be painted before fitting, and you know, there's no reason why you couldn't paint that in situ. So yeah, no issues with any of this. This looks like it might be the whale, not 100% sure, but yeah, very nicely done. And of course we've got all of our positions for the eyes for rigging cannons or carronades, whatever you're choosing to do. So again, very nice parts. I will take some photographs and we'll have some close-up shots interspersed between me sharing the sheets. More 0.8 pear. This time this is the middle part of our 3-layer lamination of the upper bulwarks. So you can see that we've got no markings on this, we've just got the shape and it's all very clear. But very cleverly what's been done is the inside of the quarter gallery bulkhead has been lasered in with the door. So there is going to be detail in that quarter gallery. There is actually going to be the toilet in there and what have you. So it's a really nice thing, because quite often these quarter galleries, they put all this effort into giving you a nice see-through window, and then you're looking at nothing, and you're painting it all black inside to hide the fact that there's nothing in there. You're not going to have to do that with this model. You're going to be able to decorate things and show it off as it should be. So very nice, really clever. So we're now moving to the smaller sheets of Pearwood, and I just want to show you the sheer volume of laser engraved wood we've got here. It's absolutely tons of it. No wonder it takes a full day to produce each individual kit. So we're continuing with 0.8. This is more inner bulwarks and what I think is whales. Lovely detail on it. It's showing exactly how it would have been cut. You know, there's no shortcuts. There is lots and lots of attention to detail, which is going to make your model look absolutely superb. It's very nicely done. So this is slightly thicker, it's 1mm pear, and we've got laminating parts now. So these are outer parts such as keel and the rudder and the prow here. So you can see that the same level of detail has been put into these. We've got positions here for the lucky horseshoe, and if you notice those two lines there, they're marking, I think they're marking the positions of your depth markers. So nothing has been forgotten, everything has been considered. The designer of this kit, Chris Watton, he's a model builder too, so he has the same frame of mind as you will have when you're building it, and he also loves the detail. So this is 2mm, so considerably thicker. These build up the bases, the carriages if you like, for the carronades. You can see that. So You may only get this if you're buying the Carronade option. I'm not sure if it's included in every kit or not. I would suspect not, and only if you've gone for the Carronade option, which is why it's on a sheet on its own. But yeah, all very nicely done. The lasering is really good. It's come through okay on the side, so we've got no splintering wood, and they're all grouped together, so you can take one out and you've got a set, another out and you've got a set. So you can just take them out as you're building them. So yeah, lovely. No issues with any of that. So this is 1.5, and we've got all sorts of little bits and pieces here that need to be out of that thickness of material. So we're starting to see things grouped together through the need of the part thickness. So we've got some location pieces for masts and bits and pieces like that. We've also got some different shaped Carronade bases there. We've got cleats of various different types, and the channels there you can see, fairly decent size channels. They'll be nice when you're putting your threading your dead eyes. We've also got the floor, the stone floor that the stove will end up going on, and I think that's for the ship's wheels. I don't think that's for the pumps. So yeah, and various other little parts that get used on the masts and bits and pieces. So yeah, again, really nicely done. More 1.5mm pair, and as you can see, predominantly this is gun carriages. We've got a variety of different ones here. So we've got the bulk of them are all this type here, and then towards the end we've got 6-pounder ones, it tells us. And again, it's all grouped together, so all the parts needed for the set, the front and back wheels and axles and bits and pieces are all together. There are some other parts on here, including belaying pin racks, but yeah, mainly we're on gun carriages here. Everything's nicely done. There's nice detail on the wheels. You've got detail on the side of the carriages, showing you where the wood would be and the nails would be, and we've got cutouts for the various eyes and parts like that are going to get attached to it as we build these things up. So we're now on 2mm pair, and we can see we've got the cross T's there for the anchors, and we've got some coamings and bits and pieces there. So a variety of bits and pieces for this. What is interesting though is we've also got the mounts here for the launchers, and not only have they given you a part number, that they've also told you which ship's boat should sit on that, so you should be able to get them bang on. We've got more bits for locating masts and what have you. So yeah, very nicely done again, and lots of decent quality spare material should you need it for anything. If you want to scratch build some extra bits, like, I don't know, a chicken coop or something like that, you've certainly got the materials to do it. More 2mm pair. A lot of this is structural part. You can see we've got a huge number of knees there for supporting upper beams, and some other structural parts. I'm not quite sure where they go. It all starts blurring into one as you look at these things, and you try and remember where they were, but most of this looks structural one way or another. The fact they're in pair though suggests that although they are structural, they will also be visible, and we will see these. So there's a little bit more laser burn on here than there usually is, so again, very low grit. Give it a bit of a sand before you take the parts out. Do it while it's still nice and flush, and it stops you rounding off the edges of the parts, which is a risk if you do them after you've removed them. But the lasering is nice. There's no real issues here. So yeah, I'm happy with this as well. Yeah, lovely. 4mm pair now, and that gives us the correct scale for the beams. These are the gun deck beams, it tells us. So the beam positions, because you're going to be able to look through the upper deck through them and see the beam positions are all accurate, and the thickness of the beams are all accurate. So that's a very, very nice touch as well. And because they're solid wood, they should clean up really nicely also. I'm not too sure that I'm fond of this idea, however. What they've done is they've put the part number on each one of the beams. I think some of that may be visible, and therefore you might have to skim that with a bit of filler before you paint it. Test fit it, see if you think it's going to be visible enough or not. I might be wrong, but it's only on one side, so it's not a big issue. But and I know that it's handy to have the part number on the part, but it doesn't always work. Other than that though, all the laser cutting's nice, and I've picked up on a few parts, haven't commented on it, but I'm going to on this. We've got little directional arrows that have been put here, so it tells us this is a combing for a double ladder, and that's the direction. That's to make sure that these are in the right place when you install it. So very nice. We've got some decorative parts as well, so they've done a really nice job. More 4mm pair, more beams, upper deck beams this time. We've also got the swivel mounts for colonnades on here as well, and I'm not sure, but that looks like that's the stern davit posts, I think, possibly, maybe. This 3mm pair sheet contains, again, mainly structural parts. So we've got these are keel parts here, and these will be later faced off by some of the pair parts that we've already seen. And we can see here you've got your bow section, and that'll get laminated on both sides, so you get 3 pieces building up the correct thickness. There's pros and cons to that approach. It means you can get loads of detail on the outer surfaces, but if you're not careful, you can see the lamination. So it does need some careful construction and clean up to get the best out of it. Other than that, it all looks very nice. Looks like we've got cat heads there, some bits and pieces for the mast there, and some parts that are going to get used on the outer hull by the looks of it. A nice selection of parts, again nicely spaced out and all very clearly labelled. Yeah, no issues again. Right, we've got some very thin parts here. This is 0.6 pair. This is the thinnest pair we've dealt with so far, and we've got some of the parts that laminate up to form the tops. These will be the outer rim. You can see we've got holes cut in ready for dead eyes and bits and pieces, and some of the strips that will go across. And whilst I'm talking, I'm desperately searching the recesses of my mind to try and remember what these are called, but it's completely escaping them. But whatever these are called, they're all on there and they're very nicely done. More 0.6mm pair. We've got lots of decorative parts, parts that go together to make up various ladders and steps and bits and pieces, the decorative pillars for inside the grand cabin, and then we've got parts for some of the ship's boats and oars, pin rails and various other bits and pieces, davit tops and things like that. So we've got some nice decorative stuff that's been done on this thin part here. I do have a little gap there, the part has dropped out, but it's okay. Lasering is lovely, spacing is lovely, and you can't get, I've not ever seen better quality lasering than this. Very, very nicely done, and the level of detail is great. The gratings look really good. You just can't fault it. I'm struggling to find anything that's causing me a problem other than the numbers on those beams. 1mm pair. we've got some decorative parts here and lots of location tabs. And then we've also got the original gallery bulkhead, outer and inner. So this is slightly different to what we'll see for the fictional one. You can see it's actually fairly plain because it's quite flat. But we do have all sorts of positions for various bits of decoration as well. So yeah, open windows, that means we're going to be able to see in and it's all going to look the part. This 1mm pair has plenty of decorative parts on it. It also has our gratings, the outer faces for our anchor tops and our cat heads. We've also got the little shot racks. I think that is for the belfry. Fairly sure of it. We've got cleats, we've got skylight doors, and various other bits and pieces. This is the decorative part, which is the cap on top of the rudder, I think. So yeah, lots of decorative parts for inside the cabin, more combings, and the detail is just lovely. Really nice. It's just gorgeous. So more 1mm pair, more decorative parts. This time we've got the alternative bulkhead for the stern gallery, and I just wanted to show you because the differences are very subtle. So there you go. You can see at first look, you can tell there's something, but you can't quite tell what it is. But if I overlay this, you'll see that what you've actually got is a slight difference in the windows. And with the fictional version, you've got this little slope on some of the columns, very gentle on the outside columns, so the windows aren't quite as straight, which gives you this nice visual look, as opposed to the straighter, more rigid looking original version. It's a subtle difference, but it is a difference, and you've got to say that is definitely more eye-catching, despite the fact that the difference is really nominal. Okay, parts for the masts now, 1mm pair, tons of cleats, we've got the pike racks, and we've got heart blocks and bits and pieces. I can't for the life of me think what they are, and they're in the section of the instructions that are missing. I'm sure they're on the plans. I know what those are. They go underneath the tops and basically are the brackets that support, and they, I think, will attach onto there by the looks of them, which means this is part of your mast build up. So maybe we're facing the mast with this, not sure, but all very nicely done. Nice bit of lasering, and building this up in layers is going to make some very nice looking blocks, I think. 1mm pair again. We've got our binnacle here, which looks really nice. All the parts are grouped together, so nice and easy to build. And then we've got, not quite sure what that is, but it's some form of cupboard or set of drawers or something. It's very nice as well. And another one here. And then I'm not sure, but these look like possibly top rails. I think that's probably what those are. Yeah. Back on 0.8mm pair here, we've got the gunport lids, and these are nicely done in two parts. So usually when you get a gunport lid, it's just a square bit of wood that looks like it'd probably fit in the hole and seldom does. Or you're cutting it yourself, making it yourself. What they've done here is they've done an outer lid which has got all the wood detail on and positions for your hinges, and then there's an inner lid that's going to glue on the inside, which gives you that nice step where it folds back into the recess of the gunport opening. So it looks really authentic, or it will do. You've got the holes there for your little eye-rings, so that's very, very nice. We've got some parts for the davits, handle pumps, some decorative bits for the quarter galleries, and parts that I think are for the quarter galleries, and we've got our floor for the heads at the front of the ship there. So again, all very nicely done, all well spaced out, lasering is lovely, and some nice thought through detail for the modeler. More 0.8 again, and we've got some really stunning paneling being done with relief laser work, which really does come out really nicely, and I'm sure when you paint it, it will absolutely look the part. We've got more stuff for the ship's boats as well, with oars and rudders and various other bits and pieces, seats and bits and pieces for it as well. So yeah, all very good, lovely, lovely work. And you know, we've got little holes there for the handles and for the hinges and stuff. There's nothing that hasn't been thought about. Every single surface has been thought about. What should it look like? How do we make it look like that? There isn't anybody else that makes commercial kits with this level of thought. That's just lovely. Right, some nice decorative parts again, and some really quite thin, delicate parts. I'm not quite sure what they are, but all sorts of little bits and pieces on here. Nothing's actually shouting out at me and saying, I know what you are, other than these bits, the decorative bits for the beak at the bow there. All nicely done, as everything has been on these. So yeah. 0.8mm again, we've got our main parts of our tops. We've seen other bits that build up onto this, but you can see how nicely it's laid out. There was part of me really hoping that we might see Jack Aubrey's initials lasered into one of these. You'll just have to put that in yourself. But yeah, you've got everything you need there to make up the tops. It all looks really nice. And then we've got some more bits and pieces for the boats. I'm guessing everything for one boat is sort of grouped together, but I haven't really paid attention to whether that's the case or not. All looks great though. Our final piece of laser cut wood is our thickest piece, 5mm. It's got some of the bits and pieces for the mast and the belfry where we need really chunky wood. Looks really nice. Once again, no issues with the lasering. Should clean up lovely, paint up nice. It's just spot on, isn't it? Keeping with the wood, we are now looking at the dowels, and this is how they come. They come all packaged up like this, held together with some tape. As always, my recommendation is that you remove the tape and discard it, and put them back in the box, either tied up with a bit of string, a bit of rigging thread will do, but there is a risk that the adhesive will sink in to the wood off the tape, so the sooner you get the tape off, the better. It's a good way of securing them in the box and making sure things don't rattle around, and reduces the risk of them getting damaged and all of that. But if you're going to be not building the kit straight away, you should take them off. In fact, even if you are, it'll be some time before you get to doing the masts and spars, and so you really want to remove this tape as soon as possible, because it doesn't take long before the adhesive starts to sink in. But let's have a look. What you'll see is once you break the bundle down and you take the tape off, that things have been grouped together, so we can just use that to have a look at what we've got. So this is our largest dowel here. You can see quite a chunky affair. This is going to be the lower part of the main mast, without doubt. And then we've got these two slightly smaller ones. They're going to be middle of the main mast and lower part of the foremast, I guess. Could be bowsprit. Yeah, and then we've got all of these others. So we've got quite a bundle here of these, and these, and if I show you, we've got a range of different sizes. So again, I would just get rid of the tape, maybe wrap a bit of paper around them and write on the paper what the sizes are. You can get that off the parts list, and then put them back in your box together. So in the instruction manual, it refers to all the dowels as just being wood. I'm fairly sure this is walnut. It's got that colour to it. So the one thing that I can say about all of these dowels, regardless of the size, whether it's the 12mm dowel or the smaller 3mm dowels, they're all really, really nice. There's no blemishes, there's no chips, they're all nice and smooth. All the ends are nicely cut, there's no broken bits or anything like that. The quality of the materials is really, really good. I mean, you're not even seeing much in the way of difference in colour. There is some transition, but you're painting most of this, if not all of it anyway. So as a base material for what you're doing, really good. Obviously these are a harder wood than the pear, which makes them great for loading. They're less likely to bend, although, you know, I'm not going to force it. We don't want to snap something on camera. But yeah, these will do you really, really nicely. Yeah, I have no issues with the dowels, nicely presented. We've also got in that bundle a couple of pieces of brass wire as well. You're all right leaving the tape on those because you can clean that up with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Right then, that's our dowels done. So this is our strip wood, and I wanted to show you this because I wanted to just show you the total amount of material that's supplied as strip wood. So this is it. It easily fits in my hand. There is not much. This is 700mm long. We've got first planking, we've got second planking. So lime wood and pear wood. So if you do want to finish the ship unpainted, you can absolutely do that, and it will look lovely because it's in quality materials. But yeah, there is hardly any, because so much of this model is prefabricated and you're not having to cut lengths of strip wood to make things. You know, you're not measuring stuff and cutting it to length and then hoping you've got it right and all of that. There's so much prefabrication that really the only strip wood is used for the planking of the lower hull only. Because we've got those lovely patterns that are going to give us all that gorgeous detail at the upper sections of the hull. So what we've got is the first planking material, and then we've got the second planking material. Now in this instance, if you don't need to worry about taking the tape off, because you're not going to see this. It's all going to get covered, and it all gets sanded, so it makes no difference. So by all means, leave that in the tape. What you can see is we've got really nicely clean sawn wood. It's in very, very good condition, and when you look at this, I mean, it's perfect. You hardly see any knots. There's definitely no splinters. I can rub my fingers up here without any worry at all. You know, there's no obvious broken ones or split ones or anything like that. It's just perfect. In terms of width, these are 6mm wide and 1.5mm thick. So nice and flexible if you want to curve them. no problem. It's an easy wood to work with, and the width means you're gonna cover that distance that needs to be plated fairly quickly. So I have no issues with this. Lovely quality materials, no problems at all. So once again, with the Pearwood, you can leave this in the tape. If you're going to be painting and then ultimately copper plating the model anyway, you're not going to see this either. But there are always modelers that want to do it just in the wood and show off all the materials and so if you are going to be even considering that, take the tape off straight away so that you've not got any adhesive staining. So a nice material to work with. The second planking, also 700 millimeters, a bit narrower at 5 millimeters and 1 millimeter in thickness, which again makes it really easy for shaping and curving around the hull. So they use the best materials possible to make both the modelling experience really easy, but also the finish really good. So yeah, and just look at it. There is no weaves or shakes or spots where you've got eyes or anything like that. It is just pure wood. And when I look at the end, there is colour differences, but it's not a wide spectrum, so you know you'll colour key it in quite nicely. Matching shades of planks together shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, top quality materials, well presented, well thought through for the purpose. I love it. So this is our final display stand. Interestingly, rather than it just having two ends, we've got 4 sections in here. We can see that they slot in, so 2 supports for the lower hull. They also become the mounting points for a plaque. That we'll come across that later as we go through some of the smaller parts. This is laser cut perspex. It's nice and tight and really well done, and when you take this off it's very clear. It doesn't interrupt the line of the hull, so the eye sort of doesn't see it and you see the model. It's really clever. It's quite nice and thick and chunky. It's a nice material. It's easy to build up and easy to glue together. So the common practice for Vanguard models is the clear ship's bases, and they are phenomenal. The kit also comes with a set of flags. They're in a little Ziploc bag, and I want to have a look at these because these have been made by a different supplier for Vanguard. So quite often the flags are, are separate to the kit and you buy them as an option, but in this instance they are included, and wow, they're lovely. The first thing that I'm noticing is how incredibly thin they are. So I have another flag here. This is also a Vanguard Models flag that I've bought for the Grecian that we're building on the channel at this moment in time, and this is definitely thicker than this, but also when you feel it, the material is quite coarse. I mean, it's a very nice and well presented product, but these are a lot thinner. I mean, they're almost, you can just about see my hand through the back there. That's how thin it is, and when you feel it, it is so tight you can't feel the thread, you can't feel the weave. The print is really nice and it just looks really natural. And if I hold it up at this end, yeah, that's going to just naturally fall the way you want it off the line. Yeah, very, very nice. Yeah, these are lovely. I can see, I believe these have been made by the same people that make his high quality sail sets, and they truly are lovely. So we've got a number of different flags here. They are printed on both sides. The print is perfectly aligned. so we've not got any mismatch of prints on either side. They're very well done. So we've got a combination of the Union flag, the English flag, a pennant, and of course the white ensign, which is the flag that's flown when they go into battle. So yeah, this is a really nice set, even if you're not going to put sails on this, and sails aren't an option to my understanding with this model, but even if you're going to not make sails and add them on, they do bring a really nice splash of colour to the model. So yeah, these are lovely. I can't think of thinner flags I've ever come across. I think these are probably the best flags I've ever seen, to be honest. So there is a lot of photo etch in this kit, and I just wanted to show you how this comes packaged. So this is in these thick plastic pouches which have been heat sealed together to allow for them to transport without any movement. I mean, this is going nowhere. So it's really, really nice, and unfortunately I got to open it. Photo etch is always one of the most difficult things to film because of how it reflects light off my my lights above. So we will take some close-up photographs of all of this so that you can see the detail a little bit once I've talked through what we've got here. So there we go, that's the pack opened. So each individual sheet of photo etch is in its own individual pocket, so everything's kept nice. Okay, let's take a look. So let's talk about the photo etch. First of all the sheets have their own sheet number, so it's easy to identify a part by using the parts list. So the part list will reference the part number, it will reference the sheet number, and it will tell you what the item is. So if you don't know what this is, it'll tell you in the list that it's the hammock crane. And if you don't know what all these hooks are, you'll find out that they're the deck eye bolts for rings, and those are the rings for the deck eye bolts, and so it goes on. So you learn so much about the terminology of ships through building them. As you can see, we've got lots and lots and lots of tiny parts. I mean, there's 250 of these eye bolts, but actually you've got 500 parts to make those 250 deck eye bolts. So there is lots of parts. We've got all sorts of windows here, so we'll have windows for both the fictional and original style of stern gallery, and windows that open, and all of these will get glazed. We've got hinges here. I'm guessing these are for the rudder, but I am just going to check. No, they're not, and actually on reflection they're too small. So these are parts that will go onto a wooden part. So yeah, the photo etching itself is nicely done. It's relief etched, which means you've got multiple thicknesses within a part, which gives you some depth, which is very, very nice. They're nicely laid out, easy to find, easy to get into and snip off. Now, if you are a modeler that makes plastic kits, this etch will come across quite thick. This is 0.4 of a millimeter thick, and it's easily 3-4 times thicker than a lot of photo etch in plastic kits is. It does make me smile. Sometimes people complain about the fiddly photo etch parts. Well, if you think this is fiddly, go and build yourself an armoured fighting vehicle from somewhere like Copper State Models, and then come back and you'll love how big and chunky this photo etch is. It's really robust, so it is difficult to damage, but it is possible to bend it, so do handle it with care. But yeah, it's really nicely laid out. I have absolutely no issues with that. Lovely, crisp photo etch. Lovely detail. So this is sheet 3, and we've got more gallery windows. These say original underneath, so maybe they did separate them. So we've got all sorts of parts on here, like the Stunsel boom irons, the boarding pipe rings. We've got lots of fittings for coronades. You wouldn't ordinarily see these. I think this is probably the first time I've ever seen them. These are the brackets for the hammock cranes. Very nicely done. We've got more hinges there and some bits and pieces for the ship's boats, ship's hooks and anchor and what have you. I should also say that these parts here that need to be folded, they do have quick bends in them. So there is a little etched line which helps you fold the piece. You'll see that on the photos in a moment. Okay, this is sheet 1. And we've got all sorts of parts here. So we've got the strop for the dead eyes. We've got chain plate links. We've got all the hinges here for the gun ports, various hooks and bits and pieces. And the most eye-catching bit, of course, is the build-up of the ship's wheel here, which has got fine decoration on there as well. So that is really, really nice. So there's all sorts of different bits going on. Some of them tell you what they're for, some of them don't. So for example, this says lower tops toggle eyelets, and this says lower stern chaser. So that's for the hinges on those ports there. So lots and lots of nicely done pieces. I mean, the photo etching is lovely. No issues with this at all. Gorgeous. Some thinner photo etch now, 0.2, much more in line with what I'm accustomed to in terms of thin and flexible. We've got some really nice detail parts on here. We've got all the little flint locks for the cannons, so that's very, very nice. We've got the little windows are for skylights and bits and pieces like that, and then we've got a part that goes in the binnacle, hinges for the skylights and what have you. And then we've got a photo etch lantern here, which it says on the parts list is stern lantern frame, but I do believe we have a 3D printed one, so I'm wondering if it's maybe for the mast or something. We'll find out when we build it and we're looking at it deeply, but yeah. Sometimes there's a lantern on a spotting top, but I'm not sure. It says stern lantern, so I would go with it being a stern lantern. But it's very nicely done. We can see the little door on there, and you've got the fold line, so you can easily fold that out. That will look really, really nice. Yeah, and the flint locks, they're just a joy to behold, really, aren't they? Our last sheet of photo etch now, and we've got all the boarding pikes on here, and they're not overscale. They're really, really nice. We've also got perfect scale belaying pins photo etched, and other bits and pieces. And some of these things have really nice names. Some of them have names that are really practical. So this is the bracket that holds the chain that is attached from the rudder to the ship, so that in an emergency they're not losing the rudder, and it's called an emergency rudder chain bracket. That makes sense. This absolutely, when you know the name of it, it's a lower Stunsel boom gooseneck. The shape of it makes sense. This, a dolphin striker bracket, I see that less somehow. But the photo etching is all really, really nice. You can cut these off, leave them on and paint them as they are, and then just clip them off as you need them. Works really, really well. The boarding pikes are all connected at the top with a thin bit of photo etch which will be easy to cut away, and again I think I would cut all of that away, leave this on the bottom strip for purposes of painting. So yeah, some of this you'll chemically blacken, some of it you'll want to paint. So yeah, I have no issues with any of this photo etch. It's all really nice. Sticking with photo etch, we're now changing from brass to copper, and we've got the copper tiles here and a separate pack for the rudder. And as you can see, it's been designed so you can put it on as a single piece rather than cutting all the tiles, which makes it really nice. We've got position markers for the brackets that make up the hinge there, and the end piece, and then we've even got the copper for the lucky horseshoes and the big bracket at the stern post. So very, very nicely done. We'll have a look at these a little bit more closely to give you a feel for what this is like. So they come in a heat sealed bag, and I think we've got 4.5 sheets of these. I have not counted them, so I don't know how many tiles. This part of me really wants to be honest. So I don't actually know how many individual tiles you're going to have to put on. I might count them and tell you in a sec if I do. But we'll take one of these sheets out. So what you get is a copper sheet. I'm handling this with just my fingers. You can clean it up, but you're probably best handling it with latex gloves or something like that. If, like me, you can have quite acidic fingers. But what they've done is they've etched this on. They are flush, so all the copper nail detail is flush, as it would be. These things were hammered flush, so there's no lumps and bumps that are over scale or anything like that, and they're not completely blank. So these look absolutely spot on, perfect. I will include a close-up photo in a moment. And all you do is you bend them at the line. You can see this one's been bent at the line. And if you bend it a couple of times, you find they come off, and they're lovely and crisp. So they're really, really easy to separate and turn into individual tiles that you can then put on your model. Now you can clean these, so don't worry if you do get them marked with your fingers and stuff. A little bit of 70% rubbing alcohol will absolutely sort these out for you. But they are so lovely. Don't be tempted to put them on in sheets though. They are stepped like bricks 2/3 of the way, so you do have to break them down into individuals. You can't shortcut it. More's the pity, but yeah, these are really, really nice. We have seen these before in Vanguard kits, and I still think these are amongst the very best copper tiles you can get. So inside your box you get lots of little boxes which contain many of the smaller parts, and we're going to start going through these. But I just wanted to show you this. So this is the acetate sheet that has been laser cut for all of your glazing, and it's really, really nicely done. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up so well, but we will take a little close-up shot. So it's been laser cut with little tabs on, so you cut the tabs off and you glue it into place, and it's really, really nice. But it's floating around in that big box, as you just saw, loose, and that does mean there is a risk that it could get scuffed and scratched, which you really don't want on your glazing. And because of the thinness of this particular material, it would be a little difficult to polish them out. So I'm not as happy about how this has been packed as everything else we've seen so far. And actually what I'm going to do, and I recommend if you get this kit, you should perhaps do as well, is to remove it from the box as you're going through your parts, and maybe wrap it in some tissue paper and tape it up and put it back in the box or something like that. just to keep it protected and avoid it getting some scratches. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, we're working through all sorts of different types of materials at the moment, and one thing that we get in here is some card. We've got just an ordinary strip of card, but this gets used for so many things. And do you know what? This black sort of cartridge paper, thick cartridge paper, it really does look the part when it's used. So it's used as various iron straps and things like that, and it really does look good when it's put on. It's surprising. So we use this, we'll use this probably on the anchors as well, and I know we're going to use it on the masts as well. So there's bits and pieces that we do with this. You will have loads of this left, so don't worry about not being able to cut things quite right first time. You'll have plenty of this. I have a little collection of these now. We also have this, which is laser cut. It's the same material, but it's been laser cut so that you can do, you can just about see that there, so that you can do the roofing on the quarter galleries. Now, I'm not sure if the colour's correct or not. My understanding is that it was usually lead, but I might be wrong, and certainly Vanguard models knowledge of this sort of thing is much deeper than mine. So they certainly look the part when they're on, and easy to install because of how they're done, and it's much better than the usual smooth bit of wood that you just paint. So I think they're really great. So now we get to this product called Polyback, and I've only ever seen it in a Vanguard's kit, and I'm not quite sure what it is. It's some form of thin fiberboard, but it is really rigid, tough stuff, and it really holds relief etch lasering really well, and it's been used for some of the decorative parts. So we can see for the stern gallery there, we've got the decorative mouldings, and we've got the pillars for around the windows, for example, and some of the decoration for the prow. But we've also got some functional things on here. So right at the bottom here, along here, we've got the sill brackets for the colonnades, for example. So it's being used both for decorative stuff, of which it really excels as a product, or functional, depending on the need. I've not seen this material used by any other manufacturer. It's totally unique to Vanguard, I believe, and it really does, because it's quite tough material, it really does hold this fine laser detailing really well. Have a look at this in a close-up photo. So now we have the cabin floor, which gives you an idea of the size of the cabin. And as you look at it, you get this lovely check effect. It's actually card that's been relief lasered. Very, very nicely done. And you can just lay the floor in and it's done. It's not paper that you're gluing on or anything like that. So it really does look the part. Obviously, with it being relief lasered, it's textured, but you won't see that when you're peering down through the deck or through the gallery windows. So it does give you the effect that you're looking for, and of course, because it's been lasered, it's perfect. So yeah, I have no issues with that at all. Not the first time we've seen this used by Vanguard, and the solution works really well. Depending on when you get your kit, you may have 1 or 2 decal sheets. When they've designed the original decal sheet, there's a mistake been made with the depth markers. So to correct that, they've done a separate sheet of depth markers. So whether at some point this will get turned into just 1 decal sheet rather than 2 in the future, I'm not sure, but that's why you've got 2 sets of depth markers. So be sure to use the depth markers on the separate sheet if you've got an arrangement like this, because these are the correct ones. There's an error with these ones on this sheet. So as we look at the decal sheet, there is a surprise on here, and it's not the name plate on the back. So we've got 4 versions of that allows you to mess up a couple of times. So yeah, then we've got the depth markers as decals, which makes sense because they're going onto metal parts. So yeah, they will look really quite nice. And you can see we've got curved ones for the bow, and it tells you bow right, bow left. Although I'm never sure if that's as you look at it or as you're stood on the deck looking out. Yeah, port and starboard might help me. And then we've got some for the stern, and we'll have some for the middle, which got these on. But you can see bow and left stern, right stern, and so on. So you've got everything you need there. There's quite a lot of decal film on them. These are actually manufactured by Edward for Vanguard. They're nice and thin. The register is good. Edward decals are okay. So you shouldn't have any issues with these. But yeah, nicely done, and nice that we've got depth markers. On the main sheet here, we've got the surprise logo for the stern of the ship. We've also, which is a really nice touch, but still not my favourite, you've got all the names here for the cannons. So the fictional book, all the cannons have got names, and you can use them. Now, I understand originally the plan was to have them all in slightly different fonts, but actually Edward couldn't do what Vanguard wanted. So I don't know whether a different company like Cartograph would be able to do it. I suspect maybe. But because of the limitations of the manufacturer, we've got some fonts that are sort of similar. Having said that, you've got italics, you've got different sizes, so they've done their best to make them look individually written on, because each gun crew would own their gun, and you know they name it and it becomes part of their family and all that good stuff. But right here, D7, this is the bit that I really like, because when we were looking at the wooden parts, I said it'd be really nice if we had we'd had lasered in Jack Aubrey's initials and date, and they hadn't. So I said, well, you'll have to put that in yourself. But they have covered it off with a decal, and naturally you've got 4, so you could dot them around the ship as little Easter eggs for people to find. I absolutely love that. Yeah, nothing wrong with these decals. Very, very happy with them. The only thing I'll say is the depth of colour on the word surprise, because these decals are quite thin, and from viewing the prototype, it's a little bit opaque, and it's not quite as vibrant once installed as you'd perhaps like it painted on. So I don't know, I might see if I can find someone to make me a paint mask, and see if we could get a paint mask lasered so we could spray surprise on rather than using the decal. In which case I can use the same paint as I'm using for the sides, the yellow ochre. So that might be something I explore when I build this, I don't know. But there's nothing wrong with the decals. They're fine decals and some lovely additions. Right, last thing in this first box that we're looking at is the nameplates for the stand. So they're a gold plastic, black faced, so that when they laser it, you get this really nice gold writing. Now, if you pre-order this kit, you get a personalised one, which is what you see here. We will talk about ordering and pre-ordering at the back end of the video, but it tells you that you've got His Majesty's ship Surprise, a frigate of 8 and 20 guns built at Le Havre in 1794 as Le Unite. Model built by Jason Putt, that'll be me. model kit stuff. That'll be my channel. So that was really nice, and actually I wasn't expecting that, so it was a true surprise. There's many surprises in this kit, not just the one, and that's really lovely. So something to consider if you know you want it. Why not get it on pre-order and get yourself a nice little personalised plate, which means the kit will absolutely, when displayed, be completely unique to you. Our box of rigging material now, so we're going to have a look at this. So fairly standard for Vanguard models, good quality, probably the best commercial thread that you can get, and you absolutely can use these on the model. First thing that I'm spotting and that I like is the colour of the running rigging. Is very nice. It's not too bright and white or anything like that. And then we've got black for the standing rigging, so you could go with black or brown. And then we've got our thread for the anchor, and this one here is saying dye black. So yeah, okay. Now a little interesting fact for you, all of these threads are to scale. So if you want to replace these by making your own ropes or something, you can use the scale of these threads to make those ropes, and you can certainly use some of these thinner threads to make some of the thicker ropes if that's what you want to do. It's not commercially viable to make rope for ships like this. It would just take too long and therefore be too expensive, so it's just not an option. So these threads are as good as you're going to get. These are actually Amati threads, which is why these might look familiar to you if you've ever built Amati models. And then we've got these polyester threads. These are widely used by wooden model builders, this brand. If you are going to make your own ropes, then I do have some videos coming up on that. You would need to use polyester threads, not Egyptian cotton or something daft. Yeah, but what you get in the kit is absolutely as good as you're going to get commercially. They look really, really nice, and the colours are lovely actually. The colours are lovely, but it's one of the areas that you can certainly, if you want to, improve upon because of the limitations of manufacture. But they are all perfect, and actually it doesn't look like you've got lots of rigging to do from that, does it? You're sort of expecting a massive pile. I'm sure it'll feel like there's a lot more to do once you get stuck into it. Sticking with the rigging, we're looking at the blocks now, and this is the full set of standard blocks that you'll receive. And you might look at it and think, well, you know, this is a big model, why have you not got more compared to a smaller model? Well, essentially the rigging complexity stays the same, it's just the length of line that increases. Obviously, some smaller models have dumbed down rigging, and so you get less blocks, but essentially this is pretty much all you need, and there will be some spares in here as well. So what we've got is thimbles, dead eyes, and then we've got single blocks and double blocks and violin blocks. I don't see that we've got any triples here. Yeah, so these are the standard blocks that you'll get with the kit. The coloration of the blocks is really nice, so they have this sort of aged wood look to them, which does stand out against some manufacturers that have got bright wood ones and then you end up staining them. You can probably get away with not staining these. However, there will be an option at checkout to buy machined blocks. Not for the thimbles and dead eyes, because they're fairly good as they are, but for the rest of the blocks. So let me show you the difference. So you can get improved machined blocks to replace the standard blocks. These are really time consuming to manufacture, and Vanguard may only get 50 sets of these in a year. That's how long it takes to make. So that's partly why they're pricey, and it's absolutely why they're an option. Whilst all kits come with the standard blocks, not everyone building it will build the masts. Many modelers will just build the hull and deck fittings, and so putting an expensive option in isn't realistic, and they'd never have enough material for the volume of kits that they will sell. But let me show you up close the difference of some of these blocks. So I'm going to take a couple of close-up photographs so you can see the difference, and then you can make your decision for yourself when at checkout. Also in the kit we've got standard brass pins. I say standard, these ones tend to be a bit smaller than many kits have. They're a bit finer. I find also they can bend a little bit more often as well, a bit easier, but you get plenty of them, so you'll be fine. We've also got two different sizes of shot. So these are steel, so it's you're able to chemically blacken these, which will make them look really nice. Sticking with metal parts, we've got a bag which has got already blackened chain for the rudder safety chain. It's a little shiny, so you may want to mat that down or something, I don't know. We also have a turned brass chimney for the binnacle and a turned brass bell. Let me see if I can separate that in the bag. So a nice bell which has a clapper in it. So yeah, very, very nice. And three different sizes of parrel beads. Now we're turning to the 3D parts, and we start with these. This is part F9, which is our rudder brackets. So they're left on so that you can remove them. It makes them easier for transport. It also makes it easier for them putting them in the kit because they don't have to count them out. But yeah, all nicely done. Resolution is good. Now, since the last kit came out from Vanguard models, which I think was Harpy, they have updated their 3D printing capabilities with new, better resolution machinery. So we should see the benefits of that as we look through the 3D printed parts. So the model comes with 4 well-packed ship's boats. So let's have a look at them. So what you get is 4 3D printed resin boats. They're all wrapped as you saw in bubble wrap. They're not labelled, so you've got to work out which one is which. They are all different sizes, so they get longer and longer. So what you basically get, you still get a kit, but this is saving you a lot of time on having to get frames and put planks on and stuff. And some modelers find them a bit fiddly and a bit difficult. Other modelers enjoy them, but this is a great option because this is really surfaces that were all painted anyway. So all you've got to do is paint this up, and then you've got the wooden and photo etch parts that go in to complete it, and it really does look the part. It makes it look neater, and it makes your build process a bit quicker as well. So yeah, there's some cleanup to do. You can see the connection points there. That just needs to be sanded flush. They put them on the transom, which is really helpful. Got another little bit there. Very small chisel, just slightly take them off and polish it down, and you'll have no problems. The definition of the print is really nice, and yeah, I really like these. These are really good. They look good. So that is coming through nicely. That's our first one. I'll take some close-up pictures for you as well. Our second one, which is the next size up, I mean, this is so thin that it's translucent. You can see my finger through it. So do handle them with care. I'm not really noticing any layering, which means the resolution of the print is really quite nice and tight. We can see we've got clean up along this edge here, but that's nice and easy because it's a flat edge. Same with the transom, it's a flat edge. And then inside, the planking detail is lovely. So yeah, quick prime and an airbrush, and these will look absolutely the part. Yeah, no issues. I can't see anything there that's bothering me. So we look at the next one, and this one comes in 3 parts actually. So this is quite a sturdy boat. Again, it's still quite translucent, but we've got a smooth hull in this instance, rather than the clinker hulls of the other 2. Again, clean up in the same places. No issues there because they've done it on the flat surfaces. This also comes with a 3D printed tiller arm, and also a 3D printed windlass element. So we can see that that's going to fit in across there. We've got some mounting points there for it. So again, really nicely done. They're very smooth. You can't feel any of the print layers. So all very good. Should paint up nicely. And then lastly, we've got the largest one. Again, the print is really nice. We can see all the planking. It's very nice actually. All the planking looks like it's running fairly naturally ish. Yeah, there's a little bit of a twist there, but it's not massively noticeable. We sand that flush, and that should all look good. And then obviously we've got separate rudder and parts and thwarts and things to go in, but that's all very nice. This one has a little bit of decoration on, we can see. So that would be the captain's one when he's boarding the ship and what have you. Yeah, very nicely done. So 4 in total. There is separately a royal barge that you could purchase to add to this if you wanted. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we sum up. So 4 very nice 3D printed boats. I'm happy with all of those. I think they're very nice. So what we've got in here is the Coronade option that you can select at checkout when you purchase the kit. So let's have a look at the 3D printed Coronades. So the 3D printed elements of the Coronades are the wheels here that go at the back of the carriage, and the actual Coronade gun itself. What we get is a nicely done Coronade, which has the adjustment screw in the back there. You can possibly see it. I will take a close-up photo for you. And the little pivot hinge there. We've got a nice deep hollow out so that you can really get the effect of the open barrel. Yeah, they're very, very, very nice. Yeah, I don't see any issues with the resolution. They're nice and smooth. And although they're done in a sort of black colour, they should be painted. And if you want to get the best out of parts like this when painted, I do have a series on paint theory that is specifically aimed at wooden ship modelling. So you can go and check those videos out too. The actual wheels, they've got loads of detail, they've got fastener detail on them, so yeah, very, very nicely done with the brackets and the wheels. Yeah, no issues with any of this. Okay, long guns now, and these are the 9-pounders. They come in a bag already separated for you. So really nicely 3D printed. A little bit of gentle sand right on the front of the muzzle there, just to make sure that's nice and smooth. and a little bit of clean up where you've got the connection points at the back there. Again, very low grit, wet and dry, just take that back and smooth it off. Otherwise, really nice. We've got all the detail that you could want on that, including the coat of arms and the little powder point there. They are just really, really nice. In addition to the 24 9-pounders, we've got 2 of these 6-pounder cannons. Exactly the same comments, same points that you're cleaning up, and the same detail included on there. And finally, from a point of view of guns, we've got the carronades that aren't an option. These are the ones that are included, and just like the optional ones that you can choose at checkout, these come with the adjusting screws and separate wheels. They actually come all attached. I've taken one off so we can have a better look at it. So yeah, the detail is really nice. There appears to be less cleanup on the carronades than the long guns for some reason, but there is a little bit at the back there, but it's the same process, a little bit of very fine wet and dry, and you'll soon be through that. They will look very nice. We also have 4 3D printed ship's anchors, and as I've said before when reviewing Vanguard kits, and this is my 8th or 9th kit review of theirs, these 3D printed anchors are so superior to the metal cast ones that you commonly get. They are so crisp and tight, they are very, very accurate. Your cleanup point is underneath here, which is a flat edge anyway, and possibly some of the blades need a little tidy up. Otherwise, they're really, really nice. The resolution of the print is nice as well, so you've not got loads of sanding to do. You do need to paint them and weather them and whatever you're going to do, but generally I don't think you get better anchors really. There are lots more 3D printed parts to go through, such as these brackets for the boat beam. So really nicely done. Got little holes in. I mean, they're just lovely, delicate parts. The quarter gallery drop is also 3D printed, so you get all this lovely moulding detail, really crisply done. No printing witness at all. It's just a really nice part. Will save you so much time. It just needs painting and installing. We have 2 different sizes of pumps. Now these historically have been made from a combination of etch and wood. This is the first time I'm seeing them as 3D printed parts, and they do look very, very nice. We've got a little bit of cleanup to do on the top where we can see a little bit of the printing witness, but otherwise they are nice and smooth and definitely going to be easier just to paint and install those, although there's still photo etch handle to be put in. So yeah, there is a bit of photo etch assembly, but a lot of the hard work has been taken out. These are really, really nice. We have a really nice chimney with the cover on. Very nicely done. Lovely. And sticking with the stove, we've got the little copper pipe there that comes off it. I'm not quite sure what that is, but we have some form of 3D printed, I don't know what that is, whether that is from the stove to the chimney through the deck possibly. And then we've got a little tray on legs. This is our stove. It's really nicely done. We've got all the different elements there to it, the little doors on the sides, the grating at the back, Indeed, that little pipe we saw will fit in the top there. So yeah, very, very nicely done. Will look great painted up. Then we've got some furniture, so we've got a nice little desk and drawers here. There's a bit of clean up needed on one side, just to get things nice and smooth. But otherwise, it's very nicely done. Yeah, so you can definitely populate that with some maps and bits and pieces. That'll look pretty cool. There is a table. We've seen this one before. It's been used in previous kits and in one of the figure sets. So we've got a little square there for putting a map on, and a book and bits and pieces, including a telescope. So that's very nice. We get 2 of these chairs, which again, in keeping with the period, all look nice. Clean up is minimal, a little bit of bumps in places. Then of course, for the scene with the musicians, we have an occasional table with a candelabra, which also looks nice. Nice shape to the tabletop. It's really lovely. And we have a music stand with music, which is really delicate. You can see the sheet music there. Very, very nice indeed. There is also a 3D printed lantern set, which includes 3D printed glazing, 3D printed actual lantern case, which has got the door on the back. It's very nicely done. The shape looks really good. It's hollow inside, so there's no base or anything to put a candle on, but you could scratch something quite easily. These things never have candles in. And then we've got a separate top which has all the gratings in the top, the little vents to let the heat out. Next we've got the 2 figureheads. This is the original that was on the ship as built. It's actually very nice. It's quite ornate. We've got scroll work and a shield and flags and the helmet there. So there's a lot of nice painting opportunity to be had from that. I think that's really nice. And then of course we have the fictional one, which is the lady. And because it's for sailors, she just happens to have one of her breasts hanging out. Got a nice little sword there, and again some lovely opportunities for a bit of detail painting, a little bit of cleanup needed in places, but you can see how that's going to mount on as well at the back there. So yeah, both of them are really nice. So the only thing remaining is our 3 fictional figures. We've got 2 Jack Aubreys and one of the Doctor there, playing the oboe, what am I saying, double bass, and you know, he's got his bow there and it's really, really fine. But look at that, even the strings are separate. It's such a nice piece. Yeah, lots of detail painting opportunity on here. It is a really, really nice piece. So we've got that one. We've got our captain with his violin. Has a nice little ponytail there. And then finally we have one stood ready to board a ship with pistol and cutlass drawn. No hats on any of these, but certainly look the part. I love these. Very, very nice. So there you have it, Vanguard Models 1:64 scale HMS Surprise Kit. What is my first impressions? I'm going to cut to the chase here, I think. Everything about this kit is really, really nice. The quality of the materials is really top notch. I had no issues with any of the wooden parts. I had no issues with any of the 3D printed parts or the photo etch. So, you know, in terms of the actual engineering of the kit, the attention to detail in the kit, the quality of the parts in the kit, even the quality of the packaging, mainly no issues. And you know, the little points that I noticed, like the clear acetate knocking around in the box, it's minor stuff, and you end up picking up the minor stuff because there's no major stuff at all. So yeah, for me, the clear acetate sheet should perhaps be better protected to avoid scratching. That's just my view. Absolutely no issues. In terms of buildability of this kit, Vanguard will be marketing this as an advanced kit, so that's one down from Master. There is a fair amount of complexity. In fact, I've counted, there is over 7,500 parts in this, and that's not including each individual decal, each individual copper tile, and each rigging line that needs to be manufactured. So if you take those into consideration, you are well over 10,000 parts that have to be either put together or fabricated by the modeler in this kit. It's a huge kit, and it's a big undertaking in terms of time, but actually it's as simplified as possible for construction. It's a lot simpler than many other kits that you'll buy on the market. The use of the templates instead of huge amounts of planking gives you two advantages. Firstly, speed. Although it will take time to do it, and you will need patience and a lot of dry fitting and revisiting the parts several times before you can secure them into place, it will still be a lot quicker than planking. It will also be a lot more accurate because you've got all that detail, the tree nailing and stuff. So there's loads of stuff that some more experienced modelers might choose to do that they don't need to because it's already done for them. But the other advantage is that those sort of uneven planks and gaps and filler and all of that goes away. So you know you're going to have a really nice, perfect display when you're finished, because the model is just going to come together as designed. So as long as you have attention to detail, to how you're fitting it, you won't have any issues with producing a really nice model. You'll be able to actually produce aesthetically a better model from this kit than many other kits on the market from other brands. Now this is the 10th Vanguard models kit that I've reviewed. I think it's 10, might be 11. And it's easy to fall into this mindset of, oh yeah, this is all standard, this is all standard. A lot of what you've seen in this kit is standard for Vanguard models, but certainly isn't standard for many other manufacturers. Every single part in here has been scrutinized and has been designed to be authentic to the original. There is no that will do parts. There's no off the shelf, oh we've got one of those, we'll just use it type of parts. The ship's boats are all correct. They're not generic ones, and when I need a 20-foot boat, I use this one. They're all correct. Everything about this is correct. It's the most accurate model you can get of the Surprise. No two ways about it. If you are a lover like I am of the Master and Commander film or the books, and you've always wanted to build a model of it, there is no finer kit of HMS Surprise on the market than this when it gets to you. So let's talk about when will you be able to get your hands on it. The actual release date of the kits is not 100% clear at at this stage. They're nearly there. It's finishing up some bits and pieces that need to go into the instruction manuals, as you've seen. So the completion date, it's about getting it right and not rushing it. So that bit we're not sure about, but you can pre-order this model from the 21st of May 2026. And I can tell you that each one of these kits takes a full day to manufacture. In fact, they've produced a number ready for the pre-order, and they've spent 4 months producing them so that they are ready. If you do a pre-order, you will get your personalised little nameplate that goes on the stand there, which is a nice touch. It's an absolutely stunning kit. It really is a stunning kit. The figures and bits and pieces really elevate it. It's going to be an absolute joy to build. So all in all, you know, it's absolutely a lovely kit. The things that are really nice about it is you can see the evolution of the design. So most of the decks don't have a false deck. It's just the laminate deck going straight onto the beams, which is a really nice touch. And then you've got the resin figures that have been added and things like that. But then there's for the first time, there's the optional rigging. So you can do the standard rigging, which will still have a fair amount of complexity. It's got all the rigging that's permanently there, the forestays, the backstays, the shrouds and rat lines, and all of that sort of stuff. It will still look fairly busy, and then they've given you the sail-related running rigging as an option, and made that clear, and I think that's really, really nice. I'm going to have a go at doing it all. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities for here. Now let's just quickly talk about aftermarket as well. So very, very recently, Vanguard models released 1:64 scale, 3D printed, you won't see these particularly well, belaying pins. They are the best belaying pins I've ever seen. They are totally to scale. They really look the part. So you can replace the flat two-dimensional photo-etched ones that are supplied in the kit. This little block has 150 in, so that's plenty to do this kit. You can go into accessories on the website and find those. That's a nice upgrade. You've seen the optional machined blocks. They're also a nice upgrade. But also, if you go into accessories and look at figures, there is some Marines, there is some gun crew, there's officers, and all sorts of figures there that you could use to further enhance this model as well. So yeah, there's little bits and pieces that you could collect whilst you're there. You can even get a lighting kit that's not dedicated to the surprise, but if you really want to illuminate some of these lower decks and go about that, there is stuff on the Vanguard website to allow you to do that. So have a look around whilst you're shopping and see what else you'd like. You know, the cost of this kit is going to be around about the £1,300 mark. Now I know that sounds a lot, but the time it takes to build this is huge. So your return is actually, I mean, we've just talked about over 10,000 parts. So you're looking at 13 pence a part or less, probably less. So when you look at it that way, actually, and you consider that it's the ultimate surprise model, it's just worth it. It's worth every single penny. I can't wait to be building this, and I look forward to seeing you join me as we build this. If you're interested in building along, I will be doing a build diary for all the viewers to see, which will be an update style, not quite like my absolute beginners course. But if you want a little bit more detail and some tips and tricks and thoughts about how I've gone about things and things to look out for, then you might want to join Think About Membership, so you can catch some of the members videos that will be coming out around the surprise. So there you have it, the surprise on pre-order from the 21st of May 2026. She's absolutely stunning. She's everything that anyone who's a fan of the surprise is looking for. It's just a stunning kit, and I can't wait to get stuck into it. I think these are some of the best value model kits around, and there is no wooden kit manufacturer at this moment in time, in my view, that can touch Vanguard for detail and accuracy and ease of build. So I hope that was useful. I hope to see you again very, very soon. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button and say thank you for all the effort I put in to put in this video, and then other people who may be interested in this subject will find it too. So thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure sharing this kit with you today. So until the next time I see you, you enjoy your modelling. Bye for now.